Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Friday, February 16th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with Ring of Honor streamed last night on Honor Club, featuring matches taped last Saturday in Henderson, Nevada, and February 7th in Phoenix, Arizona. Darby Allin made his Ring of Honor debut in the main event, defeating J.D. Drake. Emerging victorious in matches from the ROH Women's World TV title tournament were Billy Starks, Abaddon, Red Velvet, Taya Valkyrie, Diamante, Mercedes Martinez, Layla Hirsch, and Queen Aminata. In other selected results, Dalton Castle beat Kenny King, Brian Keith defeated Slice Boogie, and Ethan Page defeated Anthony Henry. In WWE news, TKO Group has signed a deal with the OC Vibe Honda Center in Anaheim, California, for a 5-year live event partnership involving both WWE and the UFC, according to an announcement yesterday. WWE and UFC are set to bring at least 3 events each to the Honda Center between now and 2028. That will begin with tomorrow's UFC 298 and continue with Monday's edition of WWE Raw, making the Honda Center the first venue to host back-to-back UFC and WWE events. Said Bill Foltz, CEO of OC Vibe, quote, "Hosting UFC and WWE at the iconic Honda Center allows us to bring some of the most electric live experiences to the residents of Orange County. The infectious excitement of these events will only become more powerful as we reimagine the downtown experience for Orange County at OC Vibe, creating a magnetic destination for entertainment, sports, and culture," end quote. In ratings news, last Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite brought in an audience of 811,000 to TBS, according to WrestleNomics. That's steady with last week's audience of 801,000. The rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was .30, an increase of 7% from last week's key demo rating, and bringing the show to second place for the evening in the key demo on cable TV. TNA Impact was presented last night on Access TV, featuring matches taped on January 19th and 20th at the Osceola Heritage Park in Kissimmee, Florida. In the main event, TNA World Champion Moose defeated Kushida in a non-title match. Moose, Brian Myers, and Eddie Edwards attacked Kushida after the match until Alex Shelley and Kevin Knight made the save.
Hold on, it's Alex Shelley and Kevin Knight coming to back up Kushida. Shelley and Knight going after the system.
But the system had a head start here, but the odds finally even out.
A 3-on-3 inside the ring. Kushida's going after that hoverboard, locking in. Myers tied up with Knight, and Shelley tied up with the TNA World Champion.
In the second of their best 2 out of 3 series for the TNA World Tag Team title holders Ace Austin and Chris Bay defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans. Crazy Steve successfully defended the Digital Media Championship against Rhino.
And he got the referee's attention, and he blasts Rhino with the title belt into the cover. Crazy Steve has beaten Rhino.
Here is your winner, and still TNA Digital Media Champion, Crazy Steve!
You heard him at the beginning. Nobody gets what they want. Rhino certainly does not get what he wanted here tonight.
In other results, Frankie Kazarian beat Jake Something, and Jordan Grace went over Savannah Evans. After the match, Giselle Shaw laid out Grace and then turned on Evans, laying her out as well. In more TNA news, TNA talent have sent a letter to Anthem Entertainment, parent company of TNA, expressing support for former TNA president Scott D'Amore and expressing their disapproval of Anthem's decision to terminate him last week. Wrote the talent in the letter, quote, "We come to you to voice our concern for TNA Impact, our family, and its future and direction. We, like you, wish to safeguard what we have all worked and sweat and bled for to build. We want TNA Impact to continue to grow and continue to be an enviable place for all professional wrestlers to work. It is our desire to have a dialogue with you and with the company in effort to protect the present and the future of TNA Impact for you, for Anthem, for the fans, and for professional wrestlers. We feel strongly that a wrestling person needs to be intimately involved at a high level to ensure that the amazing company we have all built and the product that we have provided to our fans continues to grow and flourish. It is our opinion that the best possible person for that role was, is, and will be Scott." End quote. D'Amour's dismissal from TNA Wrestling has not been fully explained publicly, but follows reports that he had been trying to buy the company. Our final report today will contain some spoilers for upcoming AEW television. These will not be full results, but only the newsworthy items that occurred during these tapings. If you wish to not hear any of these spoilers, we will give you a moment to make your decision. And please remember to follow us across all of our forms of social media. Jeff Hardy suffered a broken nose during this week's Rampage taping. During his no disqualification match against Sammy Guevara recorded last Wednesday night for tonight's episode of Rampage, Hardy sustained the injuries when Guevara's knee smashed into his face while Guevara was executing a shooting star press. It had been initially feared that Hardy might have sustained a concussion, but this was not the case according to Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer Live. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.